Support for WXAV 88.3 FM and WXAV.com is provided by Northwest Community Credit Union. Northwest Community Credit Union is located on campus inside the Graham School of Management and offers financial services for the St. Xavier community. Services include student credit cards, student loans, and other financial resources. More information is available at nwccu.com.
Support for WXAV 88.3 FM and WXAV.com is being provided by Bookies, new and used books. Bookies is an independent bookstore located at 10324 Southwestern Avenue in Chicago. They have a collection of new and used books and accept book trade-ins and donations. More information is available at bookieschicago.com and on Instagram at bookieschicago.
This podcast is being brought to you by WXAV 88.3 FM and WXAV.com. WXAV, bringing the best podcasts to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Justic.
My name is Perla Cobos.
And welcome to No Justice,
No One Piece,
a podcast where we examine the most popular anime and manga in the world, One Piece, and draw connections to the atrocities going on in our own world.
Joining us today is a fellow member of the Xavierite and someone we managed to convince to watch One Piece.
Sam, hi.
Hello. All right, today we will cover the first three arcs of One Piece, Romance Dawn, Orange Town, and Syrup Village. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
So I feel like we should do just like a little brief synopsis of One Piece for those who are watching and haven't listened, or if they haven't watched One Piece, but follows a person named Monkey D. Luffy on his journey to become king of the pirates, traveling from island to island, fighting against people, recruiting people to his crew, and just freeing enslaved societies, oppressed societies, and yeah. Sam, I want to ask you first, since we got you into One Piece, how are you liking it so far just as a whole, and are you thinking of continuing after?
I actually really do love it. I originally watched the live action version first. Don't kill me, guys.
No, that's good.
But like now that I watched like the actual anime, I do like it a lot better. I feel like it goes more in depth, and I feel like you get a lot more from the characters and like the complexities that make them up. So I really enjoy it. I'm gonna keep watching probably.
Nice. Yeah, they definitely do leave out some stuff in the live action, but that's understandable because they can't really.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
They can't really do
Only
it
so
one-to-one.
much you can. Yeah.
Well, I was also going to say the live action also changes the dynamic between Luffy and Zoro because already within the first when Luffy and Zoro first meet, already Zoro's like, all right. But in the live action, he like takes time to warm up to him. But I feel like that's really important too because in the anime, that's like kind of like, that's like really important that we see like later in episodes, like the dynamic between Luffy and Zoro and how that plays into how certain events pan out.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% see that too. I like how in the anime, I noticed this because I started rewatching, well, you started watching as well. But in the first few episodes, because obviously opens with Luffy on the pirate ship and then going to the town with where Zoro's being held. But I really like how it like immediately creates a sense that like no side is of the good guys, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because when they're walking through the town, I don't know if you guys remember this, but they're walking through the town, Luffy and Kobe, and they mention Zoro's name, and everyone freaks out, which is understandable because he was a notorious criminal being held by the Marines there. But then they mention the name of the pirate captain, and everyone freaks out the exact same way, all the citizens. And so it's like, what are the Marines doing to make all the people living here so freaked out, even more so than the criminal who's being kept there? I just thought that, I really liked how that was written and portrayed really early on, just immediately create a sense of feel.
Yeah, I really appreciated that too because I always enjoy media that kind of tackles the fact that like who we consider like the good people aren't necessarily always completely good and may even be more just as morally incorrect as somebody who you would consider a villain.
Yeah, and I feel like Kobe's character is really interesting too because he's the one that verbally says it. Like the Marines are supposed to be good. Like why are they afraid of them? Especially when he finds out that Zoro was actually defending the little girl, and that's actually why he's tied up on the post and stuff like that. So he's confused because he's like, wait, so you're being held up because of this? He's like, that doesn't make sense. So he's like confused. So I feel like that's also, I really like Kobe's character because it's kind of like the everyday average person. And it's like true. It's like verbalizing what we are thinking, or he's like saying what we're thinking.
It kind of feels like in your adolescence when you start realizing that the authority figures that we have, even in just your life or in general, like throughout the world, aren't as good as you're taught when you're younger. Like that realization when like you're starting to form your own thoughts and opinions. You're like, oh, that's not who I thought they were.
Yeah,
with that 100% through Kobe. Love his character too, but I like, because he was held against his will on a pirate ship, so he had developed these thoughts about pirates, thinking, oh, they're all terrible people,
Right.
so Marines must be the best.
Mhm.
But then that immediately gets flipped on its head because he meets Luffy and Morgan, who are as a terrible Marine, an amazing pirate, and so it immediately flips all the thoughts he's had on his head. I really just like how that like creates a dynamic between the two,
Yeah.
and how they're both like going their own direction but still very connected.
Right.
Because, well, yeah, Luffy says it. Because he says we're friends, but then Kobe's like, but you understand the next time we meet, we have to be enemies. And Luffy has that in mind, but that doesn't change the way he sees Kobe. And he actually respects Kobe, too. He tells him, he's like, aren't you going to be a Marine? Like, basically kind of pushing him towards his dream, even though technically Luffy's his enemy. But I think that is really cool. And I do like the dynamic between Luffy and Kobe, too, because it's technically they're on opposing sides, but Kobe isn't bad, Luffy isn't bad. And Luffy said, he's like, I'm going to let you decide if you think I'm a bad person or not.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that a lot. I just love Luffy's character right off the bat, how he's just immediately very accepting of everyone, and like even someone who he knows he will have to fight against, probably in a life or death thing at some point in his life. He just wants to be friends with them, and they're a chill person, they're a nice person, so
Yeah.
he sees no need to, have any animosity towards them. Yeah.
I appreciate how he never goes into anything like taking labels or reputation as how he perceives somebody. Like he lets them and their actions and how they interact with him determine how he views them.
Yeah.
And I feel like he always goes into like battles with a lot of respect for the other person, even if he doesn't really like them so much. Like he respects them as an opponent. I'm like that's really cool to me.
Yeah, I definitely like that too.
Well, yeah, kind of going off that, kind of going back to the Zoro thing. Zoro's name is literally Demon. He's Pirate Hunter Zoro, the Demon Pirate Hunter Zoro. And Luffy, who is a pirate, literally goes up to him and he's like, "Do you want to join me?" And he's like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "Do you know who I am?" So yeah, that kind of does go back to Luffy kind of being like, like I don't really care what your label is. Like who do you say you are?
Right.
Kinda.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because it's like no matter who he interacts with, he just lets their actions speak louder than the words that have been attributed to them.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't want to go further into the story, obviously, but you could see that in so many other places throughout the entirety of One Piece.
Yeah, totally. And then with Captain Axehand Morgan, who fears everybody, but he believes he's doing righteousness, he fights against Luffy. He's telling him, he's like, you're going against the Marines. That can they can get you through so much trouble. And it kind of, it makes Kobe think, and it makes us, the audience, think like, damn, this Marine captain kind of sucks. And it's the first Marine captain we see. So we're thinking like, oh, this is supposed to be like the good guy, quote unquote. And then we see immediately that he's corrupted as hell. Like he is not a good person whatsoever. Right. And he kind of abuses his power, especially Helmeppo, who uses his father's power to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? He kind of uses his father's powers to basically bully and diminish people.
Right.
Yeah, Helmeppo really is just a Nepo baby.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you look at it.
No,
it's
he
in his
really
name.
is. That's like
Helmeppo, Nepo. And then he does end up joining the Marines. But I mean, not his choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the character he's become though.
Yeah, he does become really cool later on. When he gets whipped into shape with Kobe.
Yeah.
Well, and that kind of goes off when they leave and we go into Orange Town, where we, I guess, officially get more interactions with Nami, but we're probably not going to see her story for a while later on. But we do meet Buggy.
Yeah.
Love Buggy. Listen.
He's a great character.
I know in the beginning we're not really fans of Buggies, but I love Buggy. He's great. That was that's such a good arc too. Like
for real.
Immediately right off the bat, there's so much action.
I thought that one was actually really entertaining.
Yeah,
I like Buggy's such like a quirky, silly character, and I like the backstory he had with Shanks. I thought that was really cool.
And how it leads back to Luffy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is really cool. I also like, because it's just a great character to get you into like the goofiness of the show, because they do have some wild character models, and putting Buggy very early just gets you like really used to that kind of. Shows like anyone can look like anything.
Yeah.
I like that it also introduces you more into like the devil fruits and kind of hints at like what other varieties of the fruit that there is, and like how many different like powers could come from it too.
Yeah. I will say, yeah, because the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, so Luffy's the only one with the devil fruit, or what I knew. And then as it went more in depth, I'm like, oh. And then we also see that people actually use devil fruits for their own malicious intent later on too. Or devil fruits are also kind of what people use to overpower others or use to conquer others as well.
I think it's also interesting when you compare Buggy and Luffy, how someone gaining power affects them and their actions and how they take that power and how they use it later on.
Mm-hmm.
We see Luffy, like, he's a little chaotic, but he doesn't really use his powers for malicious intent. But, like, a lot of the people they encounter with the fruit, like, they do use it for maybe not the best reasons.
I mean, yeah, we see that Buggy has this whole town under his domain. He's like, they fear him. Even the mayor, who is like in charge of the town, he doesn't even want to get near him. And then when he does, Buggy chokes him out. It's just, I don't know. It's like when you look farther deep into it, it kind of goes more into how when somebody with more power than political officials puts fear into it, people kind of don't know what to do. Especially when Luffy comes into town and Nami's being chased by the pirates, she immediately depends on Luffy and she ditches.
So I also really like that Buggy and his whole arc comes right after Axe Morgan, because that shows how, like, they're two sides of the same coin pretty much. One's just, like, kind of lawfully in charge of these people, even though he's being absurdly corrupt and hurting tons of people. And then Buggy is just used his own power to get himself in place instead of being, like, officially placed as a Marine. So I like how it shows, like, anyone can terrorize these people, anyone can control a town. It doesn't matter what side they're on. They're all, like, anyone can be seen as bad and can control like that.
Yeah.
What I found interesting too, like if we compare, I guess, this arc of One Piece to the real world, it reminds me of like how, I guess, these other powers can take over rule in a country. Like if I look back, like even to like Myanmar or whatever in like 2022, like there was a military coup that took over when I believe, I forgot the woman's name, but she was elected. He was a prime minister or some other official title, and she couldn't even be in office. Like they immediately did a military coup, and it kind of reminded me of like things like that where I guess these morally or ethically wrong people kind of take over an innocent place or town.
Innocent towns and places, yeah. Well, I was also gonna say with like corrupt officers and stuff like that who kind of have people fearing. So with Captain Axehand Morgan, he's supposed to be in charge. He's supposed to protect the people. The people of One Piece, or many of the citizens of One Piece, depend on the Marines. And here you have these Marine officers who are striking fear to have control over the people for power and for other things and stuff like that. So then when we get to this town where now there's a pirate in charge, it kind of emphasizes the fear that people have. So we can kind of look at Buggy as like gang members or like gang groups who like have control, quote unquote, over like neighborhoods and stuff like that. And the people are afraid to like kind of retaliate and stuff like that. And even officials like police officers don't even want to get involved with that because they're like, well, that's its own thing. Like, I don't want to like get involved with that and stuff like that. So it's almost like, I don't want to say like cahoots, but like they're kind of like they have an understanding. Like, we're not going to get involved with you. You're not going to get involved with us. Especially, which we see later is actually a dynamic that a lot of pirates and Marines have as well, where they kind of have an understanding where they both rule or have power over something and they have an understanding to it. Well, I mean, even the warlords of the sea who are considered pirates, quote unquote, are in cahoots with the Marines, but we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely do like that point that you brought up about how like we see that very often of pirates or just like other people bribing Marine officials to get what they want. And while Marines shouldn't do that, they are going to do it because just like in the real world, cops taking bribes or stuff like that, at the end of the day, they are just a person like us. So they can end up turning to that side and just listen to whatever.
Yeah,
things
it's
come their way.
it's all about money and power to
Yeah.
them, and I mean we do see that a lot, like you said before. It's definitely, and the citizens are victims of it all. At the end of the day, it's like it's not even for them. It doesn't benefit them. It just benefits the leaders or people in power and stuff like that. Like there's no benefit for anybody, or there's no benefit for the citizens or for everyday people at the end of the day.
No, yeah, of course.
And going off of that, I also like how Syrup Village, the next arc, it also kind of, because after these first two arcs, I was kind of questioning, well, if the Marines are these terrible people that are just only harming the citizens that they rule, and the pirates are doing the exact same, maybe it'll be best if there's just a place where neither of them are. And we see that with Sierra Village.
Yes,
they
we
have
do.
no Marines watching over them, and as far as we know at the beginning, there are no pirates other than Usopp and the 3 kids with him, but I don't really count them.
His little soup,
Yeah.
his little soup friends.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah.
we quickly soon learned that like everyone does need this kind of like even without this policing force watching over them, they can still fall victim to like a thing from Kuro like that, and he can end up taking over the whole town.
Yeah.
So I really like how it shows like even if they are these terrible people, and like even if both sides are terrible, if you have neither side, it can still like there's no good really.
There's going to be somebody who ends up taking that role. And yeah, we see that with Kuro, who we think is an innocent butler, but we later learn is actually the captain of the Black Cat Pirates, and he's using Kaya for his power and for his source of money and stuff like that, because Kaya's an orphan. Kaya's parents have died, so Kuro takes care of Kaya, but he's also after her money and he's after her riches and stuff like that, because Kaya's very ill, so he takes advantage of that. And he kind of sees Usopp as a threat because Usopp is definitely gonna sniff out who he is as a person,
Right.
and he definitely sees him as a kink in his cog machine, so he kind of wants him out of the picture. And then when we see Luffy and Zoro and Nami come in, they also kind of sniff it out. And they ask Kaya, they're like, why are you letting this guy do everything for you? And, you know, she's a helpless person. She's like, well, there's no one else to turn to. But we see that she has other servants. She has Mary, but with Kuro being the person he is, he kind of uses his power and he kind of uses that as his advantage to be the one to do everything for Kaya, the one to speak for her, the one to be like, well, actually, Kaya wants this, when that's not what she wants at all. So kind of going back to corrupt officials doing the bidding and basically taking all of these things, but it does not benefit citizens, or it doesn't benefit people at all.
Yeah, and what I like about that arc specifically too is how it kind of jumps quickly from this arc with Buggy, where it's kind of more silly and unserious. It's like this clown guy just kind of coming apart and, you know, causing all this like nonsense.
Yeah.
And then you jump to Kuro when this is like a lot more insidious, and you see like just how serious and maybe even like evil just like pirate world can be. And I think even for Luffy, it's kind of like a wake up call that there's people, because I feel like he assumes like pirates are something that's more something cool and admirable, like Shanks, like somebody who's you can look up to, and they see somebody like Kuro who's kind of just doing things for his own personal gain. There's no camaraderie with his crew. He's just kind of doing things out of self-interest. And you know, Luffy kind of looks down on that. We see him talk to him like, oh, you shouldn't even call yourself a pirate. You're gonna try to throw away your name, whatever he said. I think it's kind of like also like an interesting like maturing point for him when like we get to that arc.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, kind of going off of that, good pirates, bad pirates, good cops, bad cops.
Right.
You know, there are many corrupt police officers, there are many corrupt officials, and we have, with a lot of people look down on them, a lot of citizens look down on them, and we see that a lot of people look down on pirates. But we have somebody like Luffy who doesn't want to be a pirate for treasures, or he doesn't want to be a pirate for, like you said, personal gain. It's kind of for the love of it. He loves being a pirate. To him, that's the ultimate freedom. And we see with some people who want to be police officers because they genuinely want to protect, they genuinely want to serve, they want to be the force in their community that actually helps. But when you have bad reputation cops, it's kind of a little bit hard to get into that. So I think that is actually an interesting point that you bring up, that, you know, Kuro is like the quote unquote bad pirates and Luffy's the quote unquote good pirate, because in the citizens' eyes, there is no good or bad pirates, there's just bad pirates.
Right. I think even too, we could look at it like on the criminal side, when obviously I'm not condoning crime or anything, but you know, I feel like people even see somebody who's like an ex-felon or ex-convict, and they immediately think, oh, this is somebody who's like probably an evil, bad person. When we don't know their character, we don't know what happened in life that led to that point. And I think it's like just that label they associate like the negative connotation with, and I think it's like, you know, we can learn from Luffy and letting people let their actions how they
speak for themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great point. This isn't till a bit later, but there are plenty of pirate crews where, like, the members on the crew, they didn't want to be pirates. It was just, like, external circumstances, and they found this pirate captain who's offered them a home, offered them a place to live, and they thought, if I don't take this, I will die, so might as well.
Yeah.
So it
Right.
shows, like, not everyone is in it to harm people just for riches, for that. Some of them just genuinely want to live, and this was the only chance they had to live.
I mean,
Yeah.
even at first we see that with was it Kobe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that was really a situation with what was her name? Avita?
Alvida, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like we kind of see him. He's like miserable. He hates pirates. He
Yeah.
doesn't want to be there. He just kind of stuck in that situation.
Yeah, but
And-
where's he gonna go?
Right. And you see how the label affects him later on, where he has that moment where he's like, oh, if they find out that I was like on a pirate ship, they wouldn't accept me in the Marines. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's just kind of interesting how they explore that world of labels and how we put people in these boxes and judge them immediately without even, you know,
Mhm.
letting them show who they are.
I think
Yeah.
that's definitely one of the main, like, themes that One Piece communicates, because
Right.
you were bringing that up with both Kobe and Luffy later on with Kuro, but pretty much every character, they make you think, like, because people watching, well, anyone in the real world is going to think pirates are bad, Marines are good, just
Yeah.
on the surface, for the most part at least. But it so quickly in the first 3 arcs, like, I feel like it sets it up perfectly to show that no one is inherently what you think they are. There's not
Yeah.
one side that has one answer. It's just everything is, like, there's no one piece to the puzzle.
Yeah.
There's there's countless pieces, and they all work together to form the puzzle that you end up seeing at the end. But
Yeah.
yeah, like, it just reforms every thought you have very quickly, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like these. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I thought you were gonna say it.
Doesn't-
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, the first 3 arcs, they're all they're very fun. They're very like silly. They're very much like, oh, this is so much fun. But like
Mhm.
when you do look deeper, it does like go into like corrupt officers. It goes into, well, what happens when there is no one policing people? Like, is it good? Is it bad? Like, we're set up with this world of pirates and Marines. That's it. But then you look deeper in and you're like, okay, well, there's the citizens involved. There's people who are ex-Marine officers, or there are people who are ex-pirates, and they all have their own story and they all have their own experience. And we're going to see later on that very much defines how they see the world or how they ended up in said world.
Mhm.
I want to bring this up off what you just said, but this is until a bit later too, Arlong Park arc. I just want to bring this up briefly though. The reflection between them and Exan Morgan, because the citizens at that town, horrified of Morgan, would never think of
Mhm.
like fighting back against him. But then in Arlong, we see the citizens fight back against a pirate because they
Yeah.
know pirate's not backed by the entirety of the Marines. They have a chance to fight back.
Yeah.
But even though they're both like these terrible groups, these terrible individuals, it just shows like how it can, like, I don't know how to put this, but it can just kind of show how
Like,
some certain institutions are a lot harder to fight back against,
Yeah.
depending on how like ingrained they've become into society.
Well, we also do see that a lot when, like later on, we're gonna keep mentioning a lot of things from
Yeah.
later on. Yeah, this arc, it definitely sets up the tone for what it's gonna be like.
100%.
Because definitely they get way more into it later on. So this is more of just like a, hey, like this is what we're gonna see. Kind of pay attention to this, almost in a way.
I kind of noticed that when I was watching too, because I noticed it's like these little breadcrumbs that, like, even the techniques we kind of see in the beginning, like, there's a hint of like more depth to them. Like we see that little flashback with Buggy and Shanks, and
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's like, oh, I like that because I feel like a lot of shows targeted to, I guess, the younger demographic, they kind of just have villains like this, like clean cut, like, oh, it's like this evil person. There's no good or no nuance to them. But I feel like in One Piece, it's like pretty good at like showing that there's a lot to these antagonists and what has led them to that point, and
Yeah.
you know what kind of makes them tick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. There's some villains throughout the story that are like the worst people,
Mhm.
but I can see like how they got to the point to what they do now, even though they do some of the worst things
Yeah, yeah.
imaginable.
Yeah.
But they really make a point to connect you to every single character, no matter who they are or no matter what life they lead.
Yeah. That's also what I really like about the story of One Piece. Just everything connects. Like when you see somebody and you think you're not going to see them again, trust, in about 600 episodes, you're going to see them again.
They'll appear at some point.
Yeah.
Can't wait
Well,
to get there.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say Kobe, he does come back and he has some major moments, especially with the Marines and their own actions and stuff like that. Like that's it kind of, I don't want to say it sets up because it doesn't, but it definitely it's more than just what Kobe says. Kobe says the obvious, like, oh, Marines are supposed to be good. Why are they doing this? When we see him later, it gets more in depth and it very obviously parallels our own state of the world, and it's almost kind of eerie, especially during this time when you watch it and you can't help but think to yourself, this sounds very familiar. And it kind of makes you angry because you're like, damn, I'm watching this to escape the real world. And here it is in front of me in fun colors.
Yeah. I do appreciate that it is a piece of media that closely reflects the real world. I feel like a lot of things coming out lately, there's not a lot of depth to it. Like, I have seen some really good movies recently. I watched Obsession. That was really good. I feel like that reflects a lot of things going on. But I don't know. I feel like in the past few years, we've seen a lot of things that kind of just, like, you wonder, like, wow, what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And like also the fact this has been going on for like 25 plus years. These arcs that we just watched, they were created in 1997, probably even before then. That's just when they released.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's still so prevalent in our society and we can so clearly see reflections of things going on just shows like kind of the pattern that society follows and just how it keeps snowballing, which we also see in One Piece as something that continues throughout the entirety of the story, even with people trying to fight back.
It's kind of eerie almost too when you do see these stories from like the early 90s, late 2000s, like that era, and how perfect it mirrors this world. It's so like, oh wow, so this has like been going on. And I mean, obviously that's not a shock, this world isn't perfect, our political state is terrible, but it does make you wonder, like, we're seeing this in a piece of media that people consider fun and that people consider like a way to escape the real world. But it's like when it's right in your face, are you going to be able to get the message? Are you going to be able to see? Because there's a lot of people who say that One Piece is not political, that say One Piece does not have messages of justice or freedom and stuff like that. And here you have our main character who is the embodiment of freedom, who wants nothing more than to see other people be free and to see other people live out their dreams, even if they're against his own.
Yeah, I never understood how people could say that it's not political.
Yeah,
like,
that's
literally the first arc. There's countless, but anywhere
literally
you look.
there's like so many, and then there's so many little tidbits and things that they say that you're kind of like, are you not getting it? Like, are you not getting the correlation?
I mean, even as someone who just started watching, I've only seen like the first like 3 arcs. Like, I can see like the political reflections almost immediately, and I can even kind of sense like what things are being referenced and what influences from like that time period are kind of reflecting back in the stories. So I think anybody who's saying it's not political is just maybe is not the best at interpreting media.
I was gonna say no media literacy whatsoever.
Yeah.
Especially if you watch the later seasons and you're still not picking up on what's being said. It's kind of like, oof, maybe you should put the remote down, pick up a coloring book.
No, maybe more so like a history book would probably be
Yeah,
better.
maybe pick up a history book, put on the History Channel, and then come back to One Piece and tell us what you think.
Also, like you were mentioning Kobe earlier as like an individual who's like starting out in this system, and I really like how that reflects like a lot of our generation, at least, of people who are now like getting into the real world and trying to make a change and trying to combat these things that are in place. Most of the time to no avail because they're so strongly in place. But it reflects that perfectly through both Kobe and Luffy, because Luffy's trying to reframe what it means to be a pirate, not as a purely bad thing, and Kobe's trying to do that with the Marines, changing them from the bad to what they should be. And I feel like that could just largely be seen through a lot of us and just like people our generation trying to do the same as they go into the world, but it's very hard to do so in both the fictitious world and our own world.
I mean, even if you look at it like very literally, like young men who go into the military, and I feel like when you're right out of high school, you're at that age where you kind of have some hope still and faith in these institutions. Like, I want to be the person that creates change, even if you're objectively aware that they're not entirely good. Like, I feel like there's still that sense of like a spark of hope, like, oh, maybe I'll be the good one.
Yeah.
And then once you kind of get in that system, you kind of realize that it's a lot harder than you think.
Well, Luffy, Kobe has this image of the Marines in his head, and he talks about it. He's like, Marines are so great. Marines are like, they help the world, and like, kind of going back to what you said, like young men, they see the military as like, I'm gonna fight for my country, and like everyone's gonna respect me. And we see very quickly that a lot of people, not just pirates, don't respect the Marines. They don't see the Marines as helpful. They see the Marines as these figures that torment them and that are not going to help them in any way whatsoever and are just there to kind of make their lives harder.
And there's other part of it too where you start to think about like what exactly am I even fighting for?
Yeah.
Like especially as we look at the past few wars that have gone on, and I feel like I've read so much about ex-soldiers or ex-veterans that have discussed like just that kind of breakdown of your mentality, and you start to see like these kind of atrocities happen that you might even be a part of, and you're like, well, like what exactly are we even doing here? Like what's the purpose of this? And I think that's another part where I feel like I haven't seen that far yet, but I'm guessing maybe Kobe probably faced a similar thing.
Oh, yeah. We see that a lot with Kobe, who definitely questions the Marines a lot. And when he is questioned, he's punished for it, or he's definitely accused of being against the Marines. So it's definitely the mentality of you're either with us or you're against us, which is a very black and white mentality. It's like, well, there's gray area.
Yeah, we see that also even later with, I won't really get too much into this, but later on with a very high up Marine, I'm going to assume you know who I'm talking, or you might be behind this point actually, I don't know.
I might.
But there's a very high up Marine who does something similar to Kobe, and even he, having one of the highest positions, even he still gets
I think I know who you're
reprimanded
talking about. Okay.
Yeah, but even he gets he gets reprimanded. Despite...
I'm here like no idea.
I'm like, wait a minute, I had to do.
Yeah,
but
just like how that shows, like even the people at the very top, they will try to do good, but because of the system, they're unable to. And then with that, with Kobe being at the very beginning, like I feel like connecting to like a lot of young men as they become like join the Marine or join the military or become a police officer or something, they go in with these like good thoughts that they want to do something good, but then they see the superiors above them only doing bad, not only doing bad, but doing bad, doing things that they don't condone.
Taking advantage of their power.
Yeah, and as they see that, they're like, oh, well, I could do this too. And then they start to do that, and then the cycle just continues and continues. And we see that with so many examples of Marines throughout the story.
Yeah, I was going to say it like snowballs.
Yeah.
They kind of like oh God, I just had it in my head. They kind of see this, and even though it might be against their moral compass or it might be against their morals itself, they kind of are like, well, it's how it's done. It's how the world is. So it's like, I can't fight it. I guess I have to participate. And it kind of, no one has the mentality that, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. I should, break this cycle, like you said. But like, it's almost impossible to break out of.
Yeah, at some point, it's like a sense of defeat there that you just kind of, give up and give in to the system that you're in. And, you're like, what more can I do as an individual? Like, I can't really fix this on my own. So then I feel like for a lot of people, it's just kind of a matter of like, well, I guess I just have to keep floating along.
Yeah, well, I was going to say us right now with the political state, so many people say they feel so helpless because we see all these terrible things happening, all these wars happening, but what are we as the people going to do? Are we going to go out there and stop it? And so many people, they feel so helpless. They feel like, well, I can't go out there. I can't stop this from happening. I'm just one person. And we see that reflected a lot. We see that a lot, how people feel like, okay, well, I'm just one person. I can't stop this force that is so not only way out of my league, but that is so high up and is intertwined with so many different other officials and so many different things that run the world that you feel like, well, there's just too much to it. I can't stop it.
Speaking of going back to Luffy and his crew, I do appreciate how they kind of show like the power in numbers and like, unity, and like you kind of see that none of them can really win a battle like alone. Like they all work together cohesively, even if it's like a one-on-one battle, and like they're still kind of assisting in some way. Like I remember that one scene with Kuro where Nami's like trying her best to like get Zoro his swords, and I feel like the same applies to like the real world too, where it's seems like impossible to change anything as an individual, but I feel like there's a lot of change that can come if people unite, and I feel like there's like it's definitely purposeful that we're made to feel that we're alone in this world and that we can't change anything. Like that's very intentional, but I feel like it's really important to recognize that we do need to be united.
For sure.
Too many people are just complacent with what they have and don't want to they think if they try to go against anything, it'll just only come back on them. But every revolution just begins with one person, so someone has to be the person to get it started, light the fire. But I also see that a lot when talking with people in my family or people who have differing political views or just like are more central on their political views, because they'll say things like, "Oh, both sides are just as bad," or like
Yeah.
two sides of the same coin, which can be for some things, I would agree, but as a whole, I feel like
There are some obvious
there's some obvious worse things on one side compared to the other.
Right.
And I feel like that's also another just type of language that ends up leaving a lot of people complacent, because that's such a normalized thing, like, oh, both sides are bad. There's nothing we can do no matter who we vote for. They're both going to be
Yeah, I
bad.
was gonna say that's a lot of arguments people use where it's like, "Ah, well, both sides are bad, so we should just like not argue." But it's like, no, there's some things that are a little bit worse than others, and
Right.
we shouldn't just be, trying to keep the peace, quote unquote, when there is no peace right now, especially in our current world state and in the One Piece state that we see that everywhere they go, there is no real peace.
Yeah, and through One Piece too, with Marines and pirates, they can be seen just the same as like the two sides of the political spectrum.
Mhm.
Countless people see both sides as bad. They see one side as good, one side as bad, vice versa. Same with Marines and pirates, just that they're the same. There's nothing you could do to change it. When in reality, we see pirates who are good, some Marines who are good. So there are good people on the sides. It's just a lot of people don't choose to look for those people. They just immediately assume everyone on one side's bad, everyone on one side. Yeah.
The black and white mentality. It's just like one side's good, one side's bad, and there's nothing we can do about it. And we're just here. When it's like, it's not true. We, the people, have power. And I think we also see that in One Piece, everyone's just kind of afraid to make that first leap, because that can result in getting you killed by pirates, or that can get you killed by the Marines and everything. Like, it's a very scary world, because you can either be resented or you can be loved, or it can all result in death.
Mm-hmm.
And it very much reflects like the bystander effect.
Mm-hmm.
And like you were saying, everyone's afraid. And just the first arc, we could see that through so many people. Kobe afraid to fight back against Alvida and go live the life he wants to live. The citizens afraid to fight back against Morgan and his son because they will be killed. And then Orange Town, the mayor scared to fight back against Buggy because he'll be killed. Just so many reflections like that, just showing how
Usopp afraid to fight against Kuro, because he sees that Kuro is a pirate. When he comes back to the town, everyone's just kind of like, well, first of all, Usopp lies all the time, so that's kind of why they don't believe him.
Right.
But then they also don't believe him because, well, they see Kuro as this just normal figure. They're like, well, he's in charge of that house. Like, we haven't seen him done anything bad, so like, why should we believe you? So it's also kind of like, when you do take the stand and you do try to go against somebody, you won't always be believed. And we also see that a lot too with certain political figures. When news come out about them, not everyone believes it, and everyone kind of glorifies them still.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I feel like because I remember in Syrup Village, people would be like, oh, Kuro's just a butler. There's no way he could be doing bad. And it's just like pirates and Marines, when like, oh, he's a pirate, he has to be doing bad. Oh, he's a Marine, he has to be doing good. It's just like that, and shows like the ideas people build around certain professions or certain ways of life, even though most of those turn out to be false. It's just what they've built up.
Yeah.
Kuro's just butler. Like, why should we believe you over somebody who does good? And it's kind of like, oh, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just the main communication from One Piece. Just that no idea you have is like a concrete, solid idea.
It's the right idea.
Everything can change. Like everything is constantly changing, and you can see that through all the first three arcs, and pretty much every villain, every person you encounter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is kind of I don't want to say it's a hard arc to talk about, because there definitely is a lot of, there's so many like political points, and there's so many things that you can like trial back to the real world, but it's also like, we're gonna see a lot more that like you can see the very obvious parallels to, and you can definitely be like, oh, that's literally this is literally the world, this is real life.
Yeah. Right.
Like, yeah, just like the next three arcs that we're going to cover in the next one.
That one's going to be
Arlong, and
Baratier, Arlong is going to be a long one.
Yeah, 100%. But I do really like the first three arcs. I feel like they are like the perfect introduction to the series.
Yeah.
And, like what it's going to become. Shows you like that it is a goofy show, but it has plenty of actual like political themes, real world themes that make you actually think, not just like a blind show that you just watch for fun.
Well, yeah, I was also going to say, and it's not, when there's political issues, when there's political issues, it's not just like always in like big government official buildings or like big cities and towns. It could literally always chill back too to like small towns and villages and cities and stuff like that. And we see that with Syrup Village and with Orange Town.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I feel like it's also just a show. It's a great introduction, like for younger people, like kids, into kind of challenging their views. I feel like when you're a child, the world is very black and white. So I feel like it's kind of great to have something like One Piece, like as you're kind of growing, to like kind of challenge your mindset in a way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. I feel like it's definitely changed my views a lot because I started watching it around COVID when I was in high school, and I like to think I was already like on my way to having some pretty good political like beliefs and whatnot. But I would definitely say like getting introduced to One Piece and then other pieces of media through that transformed my beliefs 100%.
Oh yeah.
Put me into a completely new person.
When I started watching One Piece, I already knew that it was political because I had my nephew tell me. He's like, it is very political, so, make sure when you watch that. I'm like, oh, thank you. I'm like a 13-year-old telling me to make sure to have media literacy. I was like, I'll try, but.
Yeah, that's nice, though, that the younger generation is
The
saying
young-
that.
yeah,
The kids are on
it. What is it? What do the people say? The kids are going to be all right.
Yeah, they're gonna be all right.
They're going to be all right. So, it's, first of all, yeah, it is a really fun show, really fun start. But it also is really interesting to see how they already tackle it in the first few arcs, and it kind of has you on your like toes, ready to be like, okay, what else is gonna happen? Like, what else are we gonna see and stuff like that? Because we never know. Is the next villain gonna be a Marine officer? Is the next villain gonna be a pirate? Is the next villain just gonna be a random citizen who's been wronged by both? We'll never know.
Thank you for listening, everyone. That's going to be it for this first episode. We are definitely going to get more in depth in future episodes as we go throughout the story of One Piece, but I hope you all enjoyed listening today and enjoyed the first episode.
Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Thank you for inviting me.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much for listening to this WXAV 88.3 FM podcast. Be sure to visit our website, wxav.com, for more information on your escape from ordinary radio.